Hey, welcome back, guys, to episode 8 of Really Honest. I am Scott.
It's Ricardo.
Carlos.
Lord.
So, in case you guys are wondering, I'm wearing makeup right now because I just came from a movie shoot where I had to play a zombie, and I didn't have any time to wash it off, so I'm going to be like this for the rest of the episode.
It's a good look on him.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
He's personifying his inside.
Yeah.
Dead inside.
Yeah, I'm dead inside and outside now, but I have a face.
Alright, guys. Well, we have a guest here, Carlos.
Hey, what's up?
You know, this just added more from the other podcast. He used to work with us also. Like a lot of our guests.
We're all old co-workers.
We're all old co-workers.
We're all old co-workers.
You know, he's in the radio at EPCC Radio, and I invited him along. So he'd be somebody that does something on the same format, the same thing at the college. So go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about yourself.
So I'm Carlos, DJ Carlos when I'm there at Pulse Radio. But no, I just, I studied journalism, obviously, at Texas State out there, and I did kind of like the newspaper media and print media. And it was cool, but, then I get into radio, and I found that it was really amazing. It was really cool, so I wanted to stick with it. And when I got back to El Paso, I was like, I really need more experience on air. Speaking into a microphone, so doing stuff like this is like really what I needed. So, I got involved with Pulse Radio, and that's the biggest thing I think I'm doing right now.
So can I guess this is just me asking, why'd you go from newspaper to radio? Like, what made you say this is more of a better medium?
Multiple things. I think one of them was that with print-based media and writing a story for newspaper, there's just a lot of, I think, of research, a lot of digging that goes into it because it's such a long form of telling a story. And whereas on radio, it's a lot more quicker on the fly. You just kind of, you get short increments of stories or stuff like that, and then you're just able to, communicate them out. And also a lot of the things too is you don't have to worry as much with editing, which editing is like such a meticulous process.
Yeah, very tedious.
Yeah, so that's another thing too that I wanted to strive away from. But even just the speaking, that's the good. I think that's the best part is because when you write and you tell a story through writing, that's one thing, you know what I mean, and you reach so many people. But when you're speaking, I just feel like you just sort of expand your horizon of who you're going to reach as well. Because someone would rather, listen to you speak versus than read something that you said. So, yeah.
Oh, it sounds like a very, very informative answer. I wasn't expecting a long one like that.
Yes, I mean,
no, that's fine, man. That's fine. I mean, it shows that you know why you chose that route instead of just going, I don't know.
Just go with it.
Yeah, just to go with it. See, there's a question I gotta ask. So lately, with the growth of the internet from 2000, we're still alive from Y2K.
Yeah.
But comes the internet, comes a lot of opportunities. There's always been talk that the newspaper medium is dying. Like the print, there's physical copies of magazines are becoming less and less during stores, Unless you got your local ones, that's something that's different. But what I mean is like on the grand scale of newspaper. What do you guys think about maybe radio at one point might even be? Is radio already in that same area, or is it becoming obsolete, or is it always going to be in this? Is it always going to stay?
I mean, to me, radio is kind of obsolete for me because I pay for Spotify, and I always have I'll have my podcast there, my music downloaded. Got that student discount, man.
Right.
To me, ever since I got Spotify, even on my iPhone, I don't even use Apple Music. I think Apple Music, I don't know.
I get offended from my last one because of my Cometa.
Cometa, I'm like shit on your music.
Apple Music.
Just shit on Ricardo Week. So to me, Spotify's just been my go-to. I always have my music there when I'm ready, or if I want to search, I search it up and save it.
Okay.
That's true. Well, I mean, with Spotify and that kind of stuff, it's really cool and dope because it's really personalized for you. Even Pandora, it's so personalized for you, and I just get so bummed out listening to the radio because it's not really I don't know, like it's not narrowcasted for you. You get me? Like it's so general
Yeah.
that they have to hit. I don't know how to describe it, but like I just don't like listening to the radio because I'm always like, man, like why are they playing this, or this is whack, or
Right.
This is like the 20th time after this
Yeah.
in an hour.
Exactly. You know, like can you guys play something else other than Queen?
Yeah.
Wait, who are you?
No, but
What radio station is this?
no. I mean, for I'm just being honest. You know, like
Yeah.
I want to sometimes I want to hear something else.
Something different.
Something
Not just
different.
that, I hate the whole censoring.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
it's so weird when they censor. Like, I would rather them just take out the word and put it in backwards because I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, what about you?
I
Carlos?
Why even bother?
That's pretty bad. No, yeah. Well, you know, I do think radio is sort of decreasing as well. Like a newspaper, I think is in the dumps. Like that's that's all gonna be just digital.
And you know what's sad about they bring up newspaper because there's like a newspaper at school, right?
Yeah.
And it's so sad because I always see like just the stacks of newspapers.
Right.
Yeah.
Just being like I read it. I read it. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I read it because it's really short. You know, a couple pages. You go through it really quick.
It's real quick.
But like, you know, like they just leave the stacks out there, and then when people do kind of pick it up, like just leave it on the tables, and it's just sad because, you know, like it's sad because these people that were on the newspaper, they worked so hard on it.
Yeah.
You get me? They work so hard to like write these articles, and there's like the editorial page where like the person is always pouring their heart in there. But it's for nothing because it all goes to shit.
Yeah.
It all goes to the
Dog goes to the table.
Yeah.
and now that kind of information that they put on the newspaper, well, you can just probably put it on the website,
Right.
which nobody checks anyways. But
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a like long process, and then for it to just not go unread, just it's terrible. It feels bad. But I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's some cool things in there. Like they do the movie reviews that I used to read, and then they have the opinions page and everything. So it's pretty cool. Like, there's some cool things. But no, yeah, I think that one, I think is dying a little faster. The only thing I think with radio, even though like there's so much competition with radio, it's like being a taxi with Uber and Lyft and that type of stuff, But I mean, I think the cool thing about radio is I think it has that sort of vintage feel, and it sort of has that old-fashioned type of feel that there'll always be sort of an audience for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think that radio will grow anymore, and I think it'll continue to sort of decrease.
Because people have been thinking that radio is gonna die for a long time.
Especially when movies started coming out.
Not just movies. Well, movies, sure.
No,
but
I mean, like
MTV.
Right.
You know, when MTV started in the 80s, there was a lot of people thinking, bro, like, what's going to happen to radio? Like, you have songs like Video Killed the Radio Star.
Exactly.
Right? And Radio Gaga by Queen, which is like a love letter to radio.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like tripping and being iffy, like wondering, man, like, like there's a line in that song that says, we hardly need to use our ears to see how music changes through the years, right? And that's kind of like the whole point of the song, that like it becomes a whole like visual kind of thing.
Yeah.
That eventually, at one point, that's all there's gonna be. You're not gonna even listen to music,
right?
You
just would want to like.
But again, I mean, that was in 1984.
Yeah.
Right. That was like 35 years ago.
35.
But I think back then they didn't have the technology.
Oh, that's true.
Like
that's right. Back then, they didn't have the technology.
Like now, look at us. Like,
and the cool thing about the internet as well, I brought up like narrowcasting and like more like personalized. Then I went the internet, right? You have like, there's so many ways to reach out audiences. You get me? Like, for example, like this podcast reaches a certain audience,
right?
But like other people might have another podcast. Like I could do a podcast that does like with like film or movies, and Ricardo could do a podcast that deals with things that he likes, and so could you, Lloyd, and so could you, Carlos. You get me? Like, there's so many ways to reach out people nowadays, and with radio. Like radio is, narrowcasted and personalized for people, but still, like, it's not as like tailored as it is for today.
Right. Yeah, and the difficult thing is you sort of like prepare it for one audience, like, but you kind of hope it'll kind of branch into like or network to audiences sort of stuff. But I think that's one thing that like you guys say with Spotify and Apple Music, you have enough I think control with that you can just tailor it to yourself, and everybody can do that. Whereas, with radio, you might, okay, so like Pulse Radio, it's supposed to be an alternative radio,
Right.
But I mean, even then, like, what is alternative, Like, you can be alternative, but then some people are still like, this isn't alternative. Like,
This is just rock.
Yeah, it's just rock.
Regular rock.
Oh, funny thing, like, that reminds me of a story. I remember one time, if you guys don't know, there's a really cool radio station, talking about really being dead, but there's a really cool radio station that I enjoy listening called, it's the Spanish rock station. What's the name of it?
There you go, becoming obsolete.
No, like, I have it on the tip of my tongue, but...
Que buena.
Whoa, no, not que buena. It'll come to me. Orbita.
I've heard of it, but I've never really stayed on it.
It's really cool because, like, I mean, they play a lot of, like, Spanish language rock, but they do play a lot of, like, just general rock altogether, right? So I remember one time I was listening to it because one of the things about this radio station is that the DJ, he'll kind of, like, monologue for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
One thing that he brought up was that somebody emailed them or called them, right? So Orbita's whole thing is, we're playing true rock. We're playing, El Verdadero Rock or something like that, right? And somebody, like, messaged them saying, hey, man, like, why is it that you guys call yourself rock, but you guys are only playing, like, pop or whatever, like, play more Led Zeppelin. And the DJ went off on that and said, bro, like, there's just way more to rock music than just Led Zeppelin. And if you're, like, caught up on that, like, you're missing out on a lot of things.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the cool thing about Orbita that it does. Like I guess it just, like, it just tries to appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I guess the way, from what I noticed, a lot of people from Mexico and Juarez, a lot of their rock consists the Latin rock,
Right.
but when it comes to our rock, it's a lot of 80s.
Right.
Like, you'll see shirts from AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, but you ask them, oye, ¿qué tipo de rock? Oh, es que yo oigo Slayer, yo oigo AC/DC.
Yeah.
But I mean,
there's Panteón Rococó, there's Café Tacuba.
like, I'm not shitting on it, but that's what a lot of them listen to.
And there's a lot of diversity in Latin rock.
But I guess to them, they're like, that's their idea of rock.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, I really don't like listening to the Fox that much.
Oh, really?
Because, I don't know, like, there's some songs they play that I'm like, that's whack.
That's whack.
And then there's other songs, and I feel like at one point,
You just got sued.
at one point, they just, like, focus a lot on, like, 80s hair metal.
Yeah.
And that was, like, everything they played for a minute, and I'd just be like, what?
I think all that has to tie in though, because it's like that's for the U.S. That's rock.
No, that's
Yeah.
true.
Like, especially now, I think it's kind of, to me, it's not dumb, but I think if you're the type of person who only listens to one genre of music, you're missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
Because
You're missing out on a lot.
you need to have a wide variety. Like, if you say you're rock, there's pop rock, there's soft rock, there's it branches out from one genre.
Rock,
genre.
Yeah, it's just way more than just one. And I totally get you because at one point I used to be like that kind of like gatekeeping fan. I'd be like, man, if you're not listening to this, you don't know what rock.
See, that's how I used to be with hip hop back in my high school years.
That's how I was with Queen. If you didn't listen to Queen, I'd be like, bro, like, what do you even know?
Yeah, that was me with Tupac.
And even if they did listen to Queen, and if all they listened to was Bohemian Rhapsody,
like the mainstream.
There's even way more stuff that you're missing out on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you brought up the hip hop. I think everybody goes through that. I think everybody goes through that one.
Even electro.
Even electro, in any genre that people like people are always going to be like very. Like
the hipsters of their music,
right?
Let's be honest.
It's like that whole thing. It used to piss me off a lot. You're wearing a rock T-shirt. Like I said, I was wearing ACDC.
Right.
Do you know the drummer? No.
So why are you wearing it?
Why are you wearing it? You're not a true fan. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I like music. Like,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with that shit, you know?
Yeah, that's when be like, what's his blood type? What time was he officially born out of his mom's womb? I think you're not a real fan. No, but I mean, back to the whole radio station. That's kind of dope that they play a lot. But back then the artists had to go to the radio station and kind of beg them, like, please play our shit.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll pay you. We'll pay you X, Y, and Z for our album. Okay, but now they don't even have to. Now they just like us, Anchor and Apple Podcasts. They record just through their phone, SoundCloud, send. Saves them time and money. Especially money is a big one for artists. And they don't need the radio to play theirs. I mean, it helps, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's for them, they'll have more creative control using SoundCloud. Which one are we going to play for the fans? We're going to choose whether to censor it or not at this point.
Yeah.
And they have creative control.
Yeah.
So I think that could be another reason why maybe radio's going obsolete. Like the artists don't need them anymore.
Because of just like you said with the censorship and that sort of thing. Because I mean that's something like that really constrains us at Pulse Radio, and like I think I understand why it's there because we have to abide by FCC guidelines.
Yeah.
And since we're being broadcasted like on a public
Network.
Yeah, and everything like that, and it's public money, it's publicly funded and stuff like that, and it sort of reflects back on EPCC. And all that stuff, but I mean, it's college radio, and we don't really allow for college, oriented music and stuff like that, or even college oriented topics. Like we can't get too political. We can't, do this. We can't be too commercial. We can't play music that cusses and stuff like that. But we're like, it's college radio.
They're like, this ain't high school anymore. This ain't middle school.
Yeah.
What was it that they always hammered us in high school? When you get to college, you're going to be an adult. They're going to treat you like an adult, X, Y, and Z. But when it comes to certain rules like that, it's this type of pacifier on you.
Right.
Like,
Well, I mean, that's the thing because, with the radio, you have to, a fuerzas, go through the FCC.
Right.
And the FCC is going to tell you, literally, dude, this is the shit.
This is whether you like it or not, you got to go through these guidelines.
You got to go through these guidelines, exactly.
But, I understand the FCC, but also understand, the students' perspective.
Yeah.
We're grown.
Right.
If these people can't handle this topic, turn it off.
Right.
Or change it.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's FCC has their hand in that network.
Right.
No, yeah, I definitely agree.
But I think at one point, maybe radio won't officially be completely killed.
Yeah.
But it is going to be
It's a crash of 2020 comes.
Yeah.
the minority.
Economic crash of 2020. Then we'll talk.
It'll be a minority of all the mediums. It's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be the crash of 2020, and then the
Next thing you know, we went
North Korea, U.S. nuclear war of 2021.
And then here we go, the apocalypse, and then the Holocaust. And then we got Fallout 6.
That's it.
We walk with our dogs and use the VAS system to percentage hit our enemies. But I think at one point, radio is just going to be not completely killed, but it will be in the back of our minds like, oh yeah, we forgot about that.
Radio, yeah.
Because now we just Bluetooth playlist.
And I mean, it's inevitable, and we shouldn't feel bad.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, media is always going to be media.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be ways to reach like mass people,
Right.
but it's just going to be different forms of it. It's going to be different forms, and people enjoy being more. It feels more personal when you have podcasts, when you have your playlists, when you have actual
Tailored to you and your likings.
I mean, when radio came out and they had these kind of stuff, people were blown away.
Right.
Like, whoa, what do you mean? We can hear people without having to actually look at them?
Yeah.
They could be thousands of miles away, but we're listening to other people's voices.
Yeah.
Now it's
That
like
and
quick
the
FaceTime.
idea of the programming, like the daily routine programming that do it for radio,
Mm-hmm.
people enjoy that.
Yeah, no, I think, like what you said, the only ones who enjoy it are going to, I guess, maybe keep it afloat, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because
You could have independent radio stations.
Yeah.
That people do.
Yeah, and so I think that's the only thing that I think will, keep it going. Will be just that sort of, I guess, fragment of audience that will want to continue to listen to radio, and will continue to. I think also another thing I was gonna say was the commercials. That because I listened to the radio the other day. I think it was Power 102. I think I had listened for a
And you
while.
had 4 or 5 ads in one
It
row.
was 10. I was surprised.
Oh, no.
It was 10.
Wow.
That's
I
what I
was
think.
I wondered because sometimes I'll have it on in the car sometimes, and you know what I mean. And I'm like, dang, how many ads has this been? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never actually
I want to
counted.
hear some music.
Yeah, but I counted. And I was like, dang, 10 songs, and then they played 4 songs maybe, and then the dude he came on you're listening to Power 102. This song's up next, and that's all he did. You know what I mean? So it was it was filled air, but it was very empty. You know
Very
what I mean?
filler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just music, ads, and then just
monologue of something really quick.
Yeah.
Maybe, and you've heard the radio.
But I think that's how they stay afloat, though.
Yeah, with
That's
ads.
the only reason
Yeah.
radio's still around, because of ads.
With the ads.
And then,
Exactly.
some of them want to keep it afloat because that's their only job.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was watching this video from Gary Vee. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've heard of us talk about him, right, Scott?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
No.
He basically owns some media. He just opened a sports agency.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you have time, look him up.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. But I was watching his video. He's like, "What are you gonna do if Instagram goes down? Are you either gonna evolve or you're gonna fucking die?"
Right.
And that's kind of the same thing with radio. The people at the radio stations, this is just my opinion, should start looking for ways. Podcasts would be perfect for a lot of them. They already know where to play some sound bites, how to play some ads out of their phone, and have it separate as a part-time job. Get paid from sponsorship. In case that radio station decides, hey, you know what, we're not getting enough listeners, the company, iHeartMedia, is asking us to cut it off. I'm sorry. And where they continue from there and have their own fan base from dealers from there, or even from the same people though, like us. But they get to use their skills that they learned forward to the new technology.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's kind of with that newspaper thing.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for the students, but I blame it a lot on the teacher or whoever's in charge for not making those skills transferable to the online. Instead of just making them do newspaper, putting all this pressure, and like, hey, let's shift from print to more digital now.
But I think it is, no? The newspaper's online, too.
I think it is online.
No, but I mean, like,
I've never
how about let's save money, since schools always complain not having money. Let's save, even though it might not be a lot, but something, cut the print. Or maybe keep the amount shorter than what we are now. Because
I think as far as like newspaper, I think we just keep it alive in the case. It's like, let's say we go into war, we can't be on radio stations or whatever, like, hearing information, like, let's say Armageddon comes around or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to have technology at that point. I'm not saying that's going to happen, obviously, but I feel like that's like a safeguard. That's
wouldn't it be the same with newspapers, since you need a printing machine to keep?
Well, I don't know, that's what I'm saying, but like, a newspaper is much quieter than having
a quieter approach, yeah.
You know?
But I think it falls a lot on the leadership of the teachers and whoever the higher up is. Instead of putting all this pressure on these kids and transfer the skills to something more digital, more modern for the meanwhile, hey, let's just keep them in the past and not transfer it over. Because once they're done with school, they're like, well, I worked at a newspaper. All right, can you work at a catalog, digital catalog? Can you do these blogs really quick?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. You know what? Excuse me?
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't think schools are teaching skills like that.
Yeah.
So,
I could agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. So that kind of goes into our next topic then. Do you feel, I kind of like branches off several topics of it, but leadership itself, what do you guys think, like pros, cons per se, or?
Well, it depends. Are we lacking? Are you asking, are we lacking, or do we have enough, or are there too many chiefs, not enough Indians? Is that what?
Yeah, I'm pretty much saying that in a sense. Like, do you think? What are your opinions on leaders? Let me ask that first. Since you're the president of a club.
Yeah, of A.
So I'm the president of a club, and I mean, being a leader, it's not something that you learn. I mean, I've never had any classes on that, right? So it's just stuff that I had to kind of do as time went on. You know, kind of the skills went on as time happened. And I don't know what else I can say about being a leader. I don't know. You have to...
Well, are you asking, like, would we have to ask somebody from the outside and be like, oh, how's X this? Like, it's like you said, because we don't know how we really operate until we ask someone else from the outside. Like, hey, well, it's like if I was in charge of something, and then you ask somebody from the member, hey, how is he as your boss? Oh, he's a fucking dick. But in my eyes, I'm thinking I'm doing everything correctly. Is that what you're asking us, or?
No, I mean, I guess my point is, like, what I'm trying to say is that I didn't learn how to be one. I just kind of had to go with the flow and be a leader. Right? So I really want to know I really can't think of the top of my head like what I learned, so to speak. But I mean, I guess the most of it I can say is like just being there for people. You know, telling people what to do, but not like, you know, like commanding or forcing people, just like putting it out there, like putting the message across or something like that.
I think, in my opinion, we have too many people that want to play chief.
Okay.
There's a lot of ego, a lot of people's egos that come into this.
Yeah.
Military is a great example. We have a lot of upper commands, but they all want to put in their own piece. For whatever reason, instead of just letting whoever's in charge of this, everyone wants to put in their hands in and put in their piece of it without really asking, without approving it of whoever was in charge in the first place. Because let's say I ask you, hey, go move those 2 trucks. And then you're going to go tell him, hey, go move those 5 trucks. Then he's going to go to him to tell the new guys, hey, go move that whole row. Wait, what? I only asked for 2. Well, and if I ask you, well, I think it's more optional, it will have better space.
Right.
And then you are going to go ask him, hey, why'd you move this many? I only told you, well, because I thought it would look better for this person to come through. And then
it just goes down the line.
it just falls down the ladder to a point where it should just be whoever's going to be in charge of whatever this situation is, let them. Put those egos aside, because apparently too many egos, it's just going to kill the operation and not let it fast forward.
Yeah, I do definitely agree. Like, I mean, when it comes to like being in the position of a leader, whether it's in anything, like some people, their ego may be inflated, right?
Yeah.
And then they become like difficult or a nightmare to work with. Me, in my case, I always try to remain myself humble and realize that like it's not just me calling the shots. Right? Like, yes, like I'm the one, like, I'm like the main head, right? But I'm not the one who's at the very top, you know, because like in our club, and I like many clubs at school, you have like a team of officers that they run the stuff with you, right? They go and like tell you things. This is how much money we have. This is what I think we should do. These are the people trying to reach us, right? They're the ones that they answer to
The
you.
section chiefs.
Exactly, like they answer to you. So that always kind of kept me humble, because I'm always realizing, you know what, bro? Like it's not just me at the very like powerful position, right? I have people that are trying to help me, and the same thing with like if you want to be like a movie director, for example, right? A movie director, that's going to be like the ultimate leader of that production. But that's just not the one person. I mean, that's not the only person that's calling. Well, let me rephrase that. They're the person calling the shots, but there's a lot of people below them that are kind of helping them out, right? You have assistant directors and producers. You have, you know, all these departments like the lighting and everything. I mean, those people answer to the director, and that always helps out. You know, for me at least, it's always helped me keep my feet in the ground, and I'll get to over exaggerate it. With me, the first time I was put into that leadership position, I was not that I was an iffy, right? I had to do it, but I was kind of thinking, like, man, like, I really don't want to become that one guy that becomes too powerful. And I think what really helps me out too is that I you know, like you have vice presidents, right? And I was in that position where, you know, I had a president and I was a VP, right? And I had to help out this president, kind of be there for them. And now kind of like the tables turned, right? And now I'm the president and I have a VP under me. That's really helpful, and always kind of like, you know, kind of there to help me out in meetings and stuff like that, and things that are going on. So for me, I always try to keep myself humble. When it came to being a leader, I never try to get into my ego. It's never gotten to me where I'm like,
never go on a power trip.
I've never been on a power trip. Right? There's been times where I do have to call the shots. Right? I do have to call the shots in certain things. But it never got to me. And again, the thing that helps me out a lot too is that not only I'm not the top head of the club, like there's an advisor, right? And even though we are the ones that run the club, the advisor, you know, they do a lot of help, right? You know, they do give you a lot of help and a lot of feedback. So
I guess basically the way I took that is know your position, don't play it right, don't let your ego get to the best of you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much summarized.
And I personally believe having the experience, it's the man or the person that makes the position, not the position that makes the person.
Okay.
And the military it's the man that makes the rank, not the rank that makes the man.
Right.
Because you could be
Okay.
general manager or something,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know how to run shit.
Yeah.
But let your assistant, who for some reason didn't get your position,
Mhm.
he knows the ins and outs of whatever the operation or whatever job you're doing.
Mhm.
I may have never been a manager
Mhm.
or some sort of leadership skills at any work, but sometimes I've liked that because I've seen it from the outside,
Yeah.
and my ego doesn't get inflated. Like I'm not no power trip, so I get to see those that take it there
Mhm.
fall to their own destruction. Be like, make sure if I'm ever there, don't ever
Mhm.
I have to make sure I never become that person.
Yeah.
What about you, Carlos? What do you?
As far as being in a leadership position, I think one thing I think what I've showed has been like initiative, but also as well as like Scott said was being humble and practicing humility, because like I think you can get a little bit carried away with yourself, and I don't think I have yet. I think some people do think I have, because with Pulse Radio, when I joined, there was some participation, and I wasn't even president, but I just would try and help as most as I could. So I would just take it upon myself to like, hey, if we needed a form made, I would jump on the computer, put something together so that we can get the word out about events and all that type of stuff. And I kind of still do that, you know what I mean? And I would do a lot of the things, and they would just wonder like, why are you just doing everything? You know what I mean? Like, we're a club, like you should kind of sort of collaborate with us. And so I think as far as being a leader, I think I needed to work on that and just sort of resorting to the people that were still participating.
That's something I've been trying to work on as well.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm like, okay, we need something done. I'll just go ahead and just pick it up and try and just take care of it myself.
I guess it's like that old saying: if you want something done, you get it done yourself. Which can sometimes be good, but sometimes be bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you could go ahead and do those things yourself.
Yeah.
But one of the things as a leader you have to learn is not to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And you gotta know how to work with people. That's the thing. Another thing about being a good leader, you need to be able to work with people.
Right.
But sometimes it comes, I guess, with good intentions, because they're like, oh, I just want to help out. I want to be in the trenches with you guys.
Yeah.
But to them, they're like, well, then why are we here?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, let us do
But
our job.
there's a difference between being in the trenches and being the trenches, though.
And being the trenches.
Yeah. For instance, the saying is describing you're in their front row helping. Well, that's being in the trenches and helping, right?
Yeah.
But being the trenches, it's you're the one doing everything.
Okay, no, yeah, I guess.
So that there's a big difference between that, and I think definitely from my leadership position, management, that's where like going in, I've seen how managers do things, and I kind of like picked and chose of what formatting I did, quote unquote. And there's a difference, because there's a difference between doing everything and delegating.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a leader, in my opinion. Because if you're doing everything, you're gonna burn yourself out eventually. You're gonna burn yourself out. Your team's not gonna know what to do when you're gone. On top of that, you're just gonna have. In the end, you're gonna end up miserable.
But I guess, like, I want to point out, some do it, get burned out, but will do it with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
But like they said, they need to learn how to
Even that's the thing, though. Even if you do it if you burn yourself out with good intentions,
you still get burned out.
you still get burned out, right?
But
And you shouldn't be saying, oh, I did it with good intentions. No, dude, like learn exactly what you said. Learn how to delegate. Learn how to
Spread out.
And then sometimes I need to do that as a leader too, right? Where people come up to me and they're like, oh, look, like this student has information, or no, not information. This student is interested in what you guys are doing, right? And I've always taken it about myself to kind of like tell them what's going on. But lately I've been getting the idea of, oh, maybe I should let my other club members do that. So that every now and then we reach out a different person, and it's not just me. You get me?
It's
like
not
they're
like
being
a
able
face
how to delegate that, because then I don't get myself burned out, because then I'm not like, oh my god, like I'm saying the same thing, or it's just me doing the work, right?
Because then you just start, I guess, like mental gymnastics, kind of. Well, it's their fault. They never did anything, but it's like, dude, you never let them.
Yeah.
You never let them do their
But
job.
I did it with good intentions.
Exactly.
Just like,
What about what characterizes somebody being a leader? Like, what would you if you meet somebody? How would you know if they have leadership attitude?
You know, for me, that's one thing I always ask myself. Like, do I have any qualities to make a leader? One thing that I realized, because me and Carlos and I went to a leadership conference in
Right.
school that, you know, they pretty much tell all the presidents to go, and you can go with your members, but it's pretty much for the presidents. And I remember we did this exercise where we had to do the hand thingy, right?
Right.
We had to, like, we put our palms, like, I guess, like a centimeter away from one another, and then we had to kind of, like, be moving them around together.
Yeah, we had to mirror each other.
We had to mirror each other.
With our
Right,
eyes.
so it was like that. We had to mirror each other, and eventually, at one point, somebody takes the position of leader
Right.
and ends up doing the thing. But one thing, what did I do? What did I do when we did that? Remember? I started going, whoa.
Oh yeah.
I made it fun, and then Carlos, because after that exercise, the lady asked us, "What did you realize? What did you realize about your leader? When you were the leader, what did you realize? What did you do?"
Yeah.
And then Carlos said, "You try to make it fun."
Yeah. I
Right?
sure remember that.
Yeah, Carlos was like, "We try to make it fun," and I realized I'm like, that is so true. Like I try to make things fun, and that's not to mean that a leader has to be super serious all the time. Nope.
Yeah.
Right? But people have like their different qualities, like the different things that they bring in. And then when I started looking more into it, I thought, no, that's actually true. Even before I was like the president, even when I was just a VP, and even before that,
Just
I just realized
your
I
trait,
always. What's that?
your characteristic, your trait of always trying to make everything fun.
Yeah, like I try to make things
in a
fun.
good,
Like
in a good way.
Yeah.
because like for me, when you're having fun, people become like very like used to each other.
Very loose. And
Very,
they
very
become
loose.
to themselves.
Right.
They come to themselves instead of being like a hard ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's something that I've noticed too, because like a lot of people are trying to join right now that Pulse Radio,
Mhm.
and like a lot of them, they're like, oh, they're like kind of phased by it. They're just kind of like amazed with it. They're like, oh, damn, it's cool. It's radio. I would love to be a DJ and all that, and talk over the air and all that stuff. So they just kind of like that idea about it. But then they get into it, and then I have to tell them, okay, but you may have to make sure you have to come around for events. You have to be here for meetings. You have to do all the groundwork too. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're kind of like, well, I just wanted to be DJ.
That's the thing about my club as well, because
Yeah.
I feel like people come in expecting to do a certain thing
Right.
and to make movies, but there's a lot of business involved in it as well.
Yeah.
You get me? There's a
It's
lot
like
of
with everything.
business. There's a lot of delegation. There's a lot of things that we have to prove. I mean, we do have our projects,
Right.
of course, that we are going to do, filming and stuff. But before that, we have fundraisers, and then we have events we got to go to. We have just a lot of stuff in general.
Right.
I can see how it can become overwhelming for like newer people to come in and be like, oh, we're gonna do this certain thing. Why are we talking about updating the Constitution?
Right.
Why are we talking
Exactly.
about
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z? Like, why aren't you guys talking about like making a movie? That's what I'm here for.
It's kind of the same thing in the military. People want to come in. I joined in because I want to shoot. I want to go to war. Okay. And then I want to become a sergeant. All right. They become a sergeant. They get scared of taking the fall whenever something goes bad. Because a lot of the times what happened, upper chain, it comes out of an order, comes down on you. Hey, Private Snuffy needs to go do this. You tell the person above him, hey, he has to go do this. But that never happens. Your chain of command is going to say, I don't give a fuck what they do. Why didn't you do your job?
Yeah.
What happened with you? It's at your fault at the moment. You are the leader. You set up the example. A lot of people don't want to be the fall guy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing about a leadership position. Like, if you can't own up to your mistakes, you're not gonna last.
And also take care of your people.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess in my term, your Joes. Take care of your Joes. Do you take care of Joes? They'll take care of you. Maybe in a day like, hey, I can't be here. Can one of you take over? Who's the next in command? I am. All right, you go clean this. You do this. All right, thank you. Without giving you any problems. So when you come back from whatever you're doing, nobody's going to give you shit. Yeah, it's done, and probably even better than what you expected.
Yeah.
But then you have those leaders that just want to play with their ego and say, no, I'm the boss. You guys are pieces of shit. I'm above you. And then when shit goes down, they're the first ones to run and cower in their shell and be like, well, it was their fault.
Right.
And they'll do. Because I know of a specific manager who, as soon as his boss came All of a sudden, he had sickness, he had surgery, he had doctor visits, and the day after his boss left, he's back at the office. How fucking weird! And it's one we know which one. I'm not saying names, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after.
In case if you still finger, like
No,
It's not.
no. I'll tell you after, but
Alright.
that's what I noticed.
Yeah.
But the type of leader. So if you're going to be ready, I would think from just being a worker, from a worker's point of view, if somebody asked me, would you want to be a manager? I would have to ask them, give me 2 days. Why? One, let the emotion side calm down.
Yeah,
Because the first time I'd be like, yes, I get to finally be a manager. I don't have to do this whack ass, dirty, cleaning bullshit.
Yeah.
But then once that high comes down, then you have to, okay, well, I have to be in charge of finance, whatever this is, inventory, make sure that all my people are coming into their work, what is going to happen if they don't, which ones are the ones that are giving me attitude. That's what, if somebody would ask me to just give me 2 days to think about it. Because I don't want to tell you yes and then become a shitty manager and then get dropped down to the bottom.
Right.
So like, give me at least 48 hours so I can think about it.
Yeah, and like definitely like me coming into a management position, leadership position without having prior leadership, that's something I learned real quick.
Yeah.
It's all about the chain of command. Like if I'm told to make sure this gets done and it doesn't get done, it doesn't fall on anybody else but me.
Yeah.
That's something I realized. Like, all right, I'm gonna have to make sure it gets done. I have to own up to my own shit, and when I fuck up, I fucked up. That's it. Like that's a big thing, and a lot of managers don't realize that, and that's a bad thing because at that point you're just shifting blame.
Yeah.
You don't take responsibility.
And you're just looking like a joke to whoever's in charge of you.
You'd be surprised that if you're the manager, hey, you know what? This should have happened. Maybe I didn't specify, so I'm going to take the fall. I mean, even though on our eyes, it would be like, fuck, we fucked up. So the next time that order comes down, hey, remember we fucked up last time? How about we exceed the expectation of what happened last time? That way, we're on good terms, and you're on good terms, and nobody gets to go home from work in a pissed off attitude.
Yeah, like I had a boss, whenever like we were commended, the theater was commended from his boss, he would always shift that. That's the one thing, that's a great thing I learned from him. When it came down to like accommodations, he shifted it from him to us as the managers. He's like, oh, well, my managers busted their butts and did it. You know, I was there, you know? That's the thing, like, I noticed, like, it's kind of like taking the shit end of a job in a way.
Like
But
a backhanded
it's-
compliment.
Yeah, it's like a backhanded compliment because you're going from like you're getting commended, but in reality, if you commend yourself, your ego is gonna get struck. You're gonna be like, yeah, I'm running this shit right. When in reality, you have people under you who are making sure the little detail gets done, and that's where that delegation comes in.
What was it? And the thing I heard this once: the top cannot survive without the bottom, but the bottom can survive without the top.
Yeah,
And I mean, again, yeah, we do need leaders, but don't just because you're a leader, don't think that you're not replaceable.
yeah, oh yeah,
And I would think that always as a leader, you're always trying to train somebody to take over your job.
Yeah.
exactly.
So you could be moving up to whatever it is, either corporate, your own business. Like if I were to run my own business, the oldest person there that I hired, I would want him to train to take my position. Well, let me go open another store.
Exactly.
Business, and you take care of this, and you train wherever.
Exactly, and that's like a big thing at my work where I told my boss, like, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be training the next generation, quote unquote, because that's what it is. Like when you're in a management position, like whether you go take another job, whether you got promoted, you have to train someone to take your spot.
Always.
Right.
It'll be a quick and easy transition, but if you don't, and then you're just like, okay, I have to handpick a barrel out of monkeys.
And it's worse when you don't even know.
And that's the worst thing. That's why, like, I'm a big firm believer, like, especially in a management role like that I'm in, like, I have to train someone to take my place.
Yeah. And well, I was going to say, I mean, I think something we were talking about earlier is there really any way to sort of train people to be leaders or like show them to be leaders? Because there's like, we've already touched on a lot of like sort of qualities.
Responsibilities.
Yeah, qualities and responsibilities, and then taking the fall and doing all that type of stuff. But I mean, does that just sort of like Scott was saying earlier? Does that just come through the process rather than preparing for the process?
I would think that yes, on my end. Well, the reason is because there's been a lot of times where sometimes it's the quiet kid that turns out to be
the leader.
Yeah.
But that's why, because he's just quiet, he's just observing everything, keeps to himself, and guess what? When the time comes, he's taking off. But then there's some that you see potential in them. It's just, what can I do to make him realize?
Yeah, how can you polish him off?
Yeah, how do I? He has, let's say, good verbal skills, but he can't look at people in the eye.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, what I would think, the way the military does it, go to the deep end. You're gonna have to do it. You either survive or you don't. You want this, you're gonna have to do it. But maybe that's just one way of doing it.
That's the hard way of doing it.
That's the hard way, but a lot of people like that. Because it gives them no option. It's like when they say the only way sometimes you learn to swim just by throwing you in the pool and you learn. And then there's other people that, hey, we're going to break it down Barney style. Take it step by step. Step 1, I'm going to do this. Step 2, this. Once we have mastered those 2 steps, let's go to step 3 and 4. I think that you can teach somebody. But like I said, not everybody can be a leader.
Look for somebody with the qualities.
With the qualities, but you also have to make sure that the people, his followers, or quote unquote, whatever, make sure that they're not useless. Like, hey, remember, you need your leader as much. He needs you as much as you need him, or you need her. X, Y, and Z. Because don't think the title sometimes doesn't mean anything. It's just there for corporate title-wise, but he's still one of you guys. Yeah. So don't let it don't think that you're useless or that person's above you. I think it could be teachable. I don't know about.
Yeah, it could be teachable. I mean, they did show us a couple of things we could do, like at that leadership conference. Yeah. I cannot remember them. Yeah. Because it was so long ago. But yeah, I do remember like an example they said on like how to make sure that, the quiet ones, the ones that aren't really participating, how to find ways to like pull them in.
To engage them.
They gave us like I guess that metaphor, I guess, for like a dance floor. Remember?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You have to be the dance floor theory. You have to be at the very center, that are like the most involved, the ones doing everything. Yeah. And then it branches off to like the people that are like at the very edge of the dance floor. Right. And I remember they did this really cool exercise where like they called for like 10 people to go to the stage, right? Oh, that's just they didn't say anything. I mean, they didn't say why. They were just like, "Oh, we need 10 volunteers." And then immediately when they got there, they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys are gonna do. You guys are gonna dance." And it was funny seeing that as soon as the music started, it was funny seeing in real live the ones who were actually down to do it, and then the ones that just immediately went over to the side to watch. And the girl, she immediately like distanced herself. And I guess that whole lesson in that was like those people that went over to the side, how do we reel them in? What can we do? What can we offer? What can we do for them to make them feel important? They gave us like the ideas of like, offering something. What are you doing? What's in it for me? Some people are going to be thinking, what's in it for me? Right? You could do candies. You could do pizza. You can do service hours. Right. And these are the things that, might bring in people.
Yeah, that could be. That's one way. They might not be good at that specific position. Like, let's say the head of a event. All right, but you're in charge of the popcorn. Oh, okay, I can do that easily. Because in their eyes, I don't have to worry about much. Just popcorn. Yeah. And then that's it. Instead of being, oh shit, well, I got to make sure this comes in. Are we having this going through? So, I mean, if they're not good in one area, just put them to their strength.
That, and I guess a lot of communication. Yeah, I don't really remember that much about that.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I know. It's just because they had so much going on.
It had so much going on.
The speaker they had or they featured, I mean, she had so much to say, but I mean, she's really cool. But I mean, like, yeah, there was that. And then the next day we had the different, what was it, like
the different rooms.
It was like a cycle or something like that. We're going to like a circuit and we had different stops and then we would talk about different things. Like, I know we had the philosophy session where we kind of talked about the sort of like morality that you have to question when making leadership choices. and
There was a psychology of leadership as well. Like the very first one that we went.
Yeah, was the way the brain thinks and the way it sort of has that intuition to take the lead, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I don't remember that much.
Yeah, I mean there were some good things we talked about and stuff, but I mean I'm just saying it was like a lot, like
It was a lot.
yeah. I mean I remember things here and there, but in fragments, just pieces.
You know what's a good? I like using think of this example when we talk about when leadership comes up. You know, we've all seen the movie 300, right?
Okay.
You know, there's a King Leonidas. I mean, whether the movie or the actual battle, he's a king that was in the trenches with his soldiers. And knowing, they knew it was a suicide mission from the beginning. He's like, I either die and give my people enough time to come together, or I go back and coward and lose the country, or have a chance of being imprisoned for breaking law, Spartan law.
Right.
And that could be set up as a perfect example of being a leader. You know the outcome of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew that these people were going to die, but you made sure you were there with them. You died next to them, or you just went through the shit with them. And you didn't think any higher than any of them. Yeah,
it's like that meme that always goes around where it's like the difference between a boss and a leader. Whereas the leader, or where the boss is just like, I guess it's on a... He's in his office chair.
Yeah, he's just whipping.
And he's whipping them. Yeah.
The leader's like,
and the
come
leader's
on,
like, let's
guys.
go, guys. He's at the front of it, you know?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a movie too, but just the actual event
but
of himself.
If you notice, like movies like that, they have a psychological thing, and some people don't look at it that way. But there is a psychological like reasons that way. It has those like what do they call that? I forget. Well, I'll come back to it.
But I think, even though that happened a lot of years ago, that could be still translated to now. Business owner, corporate, knowing like, hey, you know what? If I do this deal, I'm going to lose half of my salary, but my employees get a 20% raise and they'll become more loyal or something like that around that lines where I'll take the hit for them, but to make sure that they're okay. And that this company does better. Give them enough time to come up with better sales, better report. But if I gotta take a cut fund instead of them having to fight for their family survival, I'll gladly take it over them. I think that's one way I could see it could translate to modern times.
Yeah.
I'm sure it might not be spears and swords anymore, but it's the same concept of I'll take care of my people. I'll take care of my people first before I take care of myself.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's like little things in managers where you see if they know or not. Like, I guess like in my instance, like before I go on break, I make sure my staff has gone on break.
Yeah.
Right.
So that way I know they're good to hold it down while I'm gone. Because think about it. If they're in the trenches and they're getting fucking murdered, and I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going on break. You guys go on break after me. It's kind of like...
Like, what the hell? It's the same thing in military. Like, your Joes go to lunch first, chow. Like, when they serve chow, all privates and whatever, all Joes eat. Sergeants and up, eat after. Eat whatever scraps there, you're going to have to eat.
Yeah.
But if you're one of that dickhead that just wants to get in front of everybody, that respect, nobody's going to follow you.
Yeah.
That's a good example, too. The one for your position.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But I think that, it was a good topic, this one. I think we should kind of close it down on this one. You guys got any final words?
As far as leadership-wise, just be a leader, not a boss. That's the biggest thing I could say.
Yeah. Know the difference.
Yeah. Because if not, you're just going to go on a power. Sorry, I'm like sick right now. So.
Oh, you're fine.
Whenever he was doing good, it just came out of nowhere.
I know. I'm getting emotional. No. You got to know the difference between being a leader and a boss, because at a boss, eventually you're going to fail.
Right. Yeah, I think one thing I would kind of bring back up would be, since I am sort of I'm vice president of Pulse Radio, but I mean I try and handle a lot of the things too right now, because right now our president is kind of like away from it. He's going through some things, so that obviously falls to me right away.
Right.
So, but I mean I think one thing I would still need to work on, and I wanted to bring up again, was resorting to everything that's available to me in the club and bringing them all in, and like Scott was saying, re-engaging those people that are on the outskirts of the dance floor. So
Be humble.
yeah,
No, don't go on that power trip. It's gonna be easy and tempting, but don't go on the power trip.
yeah,
I think on my end, as an employee, I've never been a manager. Also, for people like me, just keep a lookout and look out for characteristics. Take notes, trying to take one from each good manager that's, well, he does it this way, I like it, and she does it this way, I like this. It's giving good results. Never think that you're trash. They need you as much as you need them.
yeah.
And also, if you really want to become some sort of leader to whatever organization, club, your job, try to hang out with them a lot and just learn from them. But you also be realistic with yourself. Am I willing to take this kind of responsibility?
Yeah,
Because
are you ready to take the shit that's coming?
Right.
It's this saying that every plan is perfect until the first bullet is fired.
Yeah.
Just be ready for the shit. Are you really ready to take on the responsibility and the outcome? And if you are, then I say go for it.
Yes.
And if you're not good at one certain position, know your strengths and try to be the leader of that strength of yours.
And something I want to add too is advance your weakness. Learn from your weakness and get better at your weakness.
Yeah. Even if you're a leader, I think there's always something to improve on.
Just don't let your ego get the best of you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that should wrap up today. What do you think, Carlos?
I was glad to be here. It was a great topic, and I love being here. Yeah. Thanks.
I like how we 360'd everything too.
I know it was kind of a long drive for both of you, especially because, like you said, you had finished shooting a scene, movie, and then
You're pretty far too.
Yeah.
you guys were a good 40 minutes, almost to an hour away. But
Oh, for real.
but again, we really thank you guys for coming because I know it's such a long drive. But hopefully, we can bring you back on
Yeah.
as time goes on by. And then hopefully, if you do make your own podcast, maybe we can collab at one point.
Yeah.
You just let us know, and then we'll talk and take it from there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next episode. The audio should be ready by tomorrow, or today if you're listening to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then the video should be coming a couple of days from today.
By Tuesday.
By
Tuesday night.
Hopefully, if really quick, if it doesn't come at the day we say it, don't get discouraged. It's not because we didn't want to. Sometimes just the technical difficulties happen. Just technology. Life happens. Technology can get in. Can really want to play its own games.
Right.
So if it doesn't come out the day we say it, it's gonna come out that week.
Yeah.
If not, we'll find some way to make it up for you guys. Maybe pull a double, but that'll be something when that day happens.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next episode.